Today we're going to go over the answers for these Prackies you were doing. So for number 1, the question is, what is 138% of 250? In math, of means multiply. So when you put 138 into a decimal, you have 1.38 times 250. Your answer for that would equal 345, which is B. For number 2, the question is, what percent of 80 is 8? So if you just do a proportion of 8 over 80 and divide them, your answer is 0.1. But what does 0.1 mean? As a decimal, that would be 10%. So H is our correct answer there. For number 3, 24% of the 25 swim team members are new on the team. How many members are new? Again, we see the word of, which means multiply. So when you turn 24 into a percent, it's 0.24 times 25. And then the answer for that is 6. So A is our correct answer. Now for 4 and 5, they want to look at estimating. So what is the best estimate for each expression? Number 4, 49% of 50. Well, if you think 49% is really close to 50, so 50% of 15 would be about half. So half of 15 is 7.5, which would be H. And now when you're looking at 5, you have 3/4 of a percent of 387. 3/4 of a percent is really close to 1%. So if you do 1% of 387, that will be close to 3. Now for 6, which equation in solution represents each situation? Solutions may be rounded to the nearest tenth. So what number is 74% of 58? So when you think of, we have the of again for multiply. So what number is 74% of 58? If you look at G, you have 0.74, which is 74% as a decimal. Multiply that by 58, that'll get our number, which is N. So 0.74 times 58 equals N, which is G, and the correct answer would be 42.9. For number 7, we have 89% of what number is 14. So we have to do some switcheroos around a little bit. So we have 14 as our number, and we know our percent. So 14 equals 0.89 times N, which would be 15.7. So the answer there is D. For number 8, the question is, while shopping, Lucinda spent $48. If the amount she spent was 15% of her savings, how much savings did she have before she shopped? So I like to think about it as like doing it as the equation above. So 48 equals 0.15 N. So 0.15 is our 15%. So you're going to have to divide by 0.15. So really what you're doing is taking the number and dividing it by the percent as a decimal form. So your answer for number 8 would be I, which is $320. For number 9, Yule has a lunch at a restaurant. If his bill was $14.50 and Yule wants to leave a 20% tip, what is the amount he should leave for the tip? So you're just finding 20% of $14.50, which is just multiplying 0.2 times $14.50, and your answer would be A, $2.90. For number 10, it says an aquarium is on sale for $59.50. If this price represents a 15% discount from the original price, what is the original price to the nearest cent? So what I did was, you have $59.50, and we know that is 85% of the original price. So I divided that by 85%, or as a decimal, 0.85, and you'll get the answer of $70, which is I. Now we're on to page 2. For number 11, you need to find the percent of change and if it's an increase or decrease. So a reminder, percent of change is equal to the amount of change over the original amount. So for number 11, it's 100 to 150. So our amount of change is 50, and our original amount is 100. When you divide that, you get 0.5. 0.5 is 50%, and we're increasing because we're going from 100 to 150. So the answer would be B. For number 12, we're going from $300 to $200. So our amount of change would be 300 minus 200, which is 100, and you would divide that by our original, which is 300. And when we get that, our decimal is 0.33, and then when we move our decimal over 2 places, we're at 33%, and we're decreasing. So the answer for that one is H. For 13, we're going from 30 to 90. So when we do 90 minus 30, our amount of change is 60, and our original is 30. 60 divided by 30 is 2, and when you turn that into a percent, that would be a 200% increase. So the answer would be C. For 14 through 16, they want to find what is the total cost or sale price to the nearest cent. So you have a $20 haircut and a 15% tip. So to find how much tip that would be, you do 0.15 times that by 20, and then you get $3. So then you want to add 20 to your $3 for a total of $23, which is H. For 15, you have a $10 lamp with 5% tax. So your 5% tax is 0.05 as a decimal, so you multiply that by 10, and for that you get 50 cents. So you want to add 50 cents to your $10 lamp, which would be $10.50, or C. For 16, you have a $50 tool set and a 10% markup. So you're going to find 10% of $50, which is 0.1 times 50, and that is $5. You're going to add the $5 to your $50 tool set to get a total of $55, or I. For 17 through 20, they want what is the simple interest paid to the nearest cent for each principal, interest rate, and time. So if we remember, the simple interest rate is I equals PRT. So for number 17, we have 1,000. So that would be $1,000 times the rate, which is 5%, so 0.05, and it's for 2 years. And when you multiply all those together, you get $100, which is C. For 18, you have $300, 6.5%, which is 0.065 for 1 year. When you multiply that, your simple interest paid for number 18 is $19.50, so F. For 19, you have to be a little more careful here. You have $850 for 4%, and your time is 6 months. Make sure you pay attention to the months. So that is half of a year, so you multiply that by 0.5. And therefore, your answer for number 19 would be $17, which is D. Finally, number 20, Chalia deposited $900 in a new account that earned 6% simple interest. After 2 years, how much interest will she have earned? So we have $900 times that by 0.06 for 6% for 2 years, and you get $108, or G. Now on to page 3. For 1 through 6, you want to find each number. So number 1 is 20% of 120 is what number? Again, of in math means multiply. So 0.2 of 120 will get you 24. For number 2, 15 is 15% of what number? So that one is 15 over 0.15, which will get you to 100. For number 3, 8 is what percent of 64? Again, you do 8 over 64, and that will get you 0.125. And when you turn that into a decimal, that's 12.5%. Number 4, what is 60% of 52? That's taking 0.6 and multiplying that by 52, which equals 31.2. For number 5, you're looking at 2/5 of 128. When you put 2 over 5 as a decimal, that is 0.4, which is really looking for 40% of 128. So 0.4 times 128 is 51.2. For number 6, they're looking at what is 215% of 18. So 215% as a decimal is 2.15. Multiply that by 18, and you get 38.7. For number 7, they want you to find 15 is what percent of 48. So if you do 15 over 48, you'll get 0.3125. And they want you to round to the nearest tenth, so you would have 31.3%. For 8, they want you to find 35% of what number is 42. So again, that's doing 42, and you're dividing that by the percentage in a decimal form, 0.35, and you get 120. For number 9, Macy has completed 78% of the 50 questions on the test. How many questions has Macy completed? So that's just putting 78% in our decimal form. Of again is multiply that by the 50. She has completed 39 questions. So 10 and 11 want you to look at percent error. Reminder that percent error is the actual, or the amount of error over the actual amount. So number 10, Christina estimates that she will spend $250 on new summer clothes. She actually spent $350. What is the percent error? So our amount of error is $100, and our actual amount is 350. So 100 over 350 is 28.57%, but rounding it to the nearest whole percent, it would be 29. For number 11, Greg predicts that 310 people will attend the spring play. There was an actual total of 220 people who attended the spring play. What is the percent error? And again, round to the nearest whole. So our amount of error is 310 minus 220, which is 90. And our actual total is 220. And that is equal to 0.409, which will get us to 41% when you round to the nearest whole. Now we're on our final page. For 13 through 17, they want you to find each percent of change, and you're going to round to the nearest whole percent. For a reminder, percent of change is equal to the amount of change over the original amount. So our amount of change for number 13 is 75 to 25, which would be 50, and our original amount is 75. So when we divide that, we get 0.66, 6666 repeating, which if we round to the nearest whole would be 67%, and we've got a decrease. For 14, our change would be 700, and our original amount would be 7,500, and we get 0.093, and when you round that to the nearest whole percent, you would have a 9% increase. For number 15, Kenzie bought a shirt for $18. The next day she saw the shirt was selling for $24.60. What is the percent of change? So our change is $6.60 or 6.6, and our original was $18. And then when you do that, you get 36.6 or 37%. And that is an increase. Number 16, we're skipping. Number 17, the regular price of a new washer and dryer is $975, and the sale price is $850. Find the percent of decrease to the nearest whole percent. For 17, our amount of change is $125. Original is $975. And then when you do that, you get 0.128, which when you round to the nearest whole is 13%, and that is a decrease. For number 18, find the total cost or sale price to the nearest cent. So $6.95 lunch and a 20% tip. So that's finding the 0.2% of 6.95. When you get that, you get $1.39. You add that to $6.95, and your answer is $8.34. For number 19, you have a $30 bat and a 15% discount. So when you take 0.15 of 30, you get $4.50. Instead of adding it to 30, because it's a discount, you're going to subtract it. So 30 minus 4.5. And your answer is $25.50. Number 20, you have a $2,500 jet ski with 6.5% tax. So you're doing the same thing, 0.065 times 2,500, and you get $162.50. So you add that to the 2,500, and your answer is $2,662.50. Number 21, you have $12.95 dinner with a 15% tip. So we keep doing the same thing, 0.15 times 12.95. What you get for that one is 1.9425, and you add that to the 12.95, and you get $14.89. Number 22 to 24, you're going to use a simple interest paid formula, which is I equals PRT. So you're going to do, for number 22, $1,400, multiply that by 0.038 for 1 year for our time, and you get $53.20. 23, you have to watch out for. It's $628 times the 0.05, and our time is only 4 months, so you have to think about that kind of as a fraction. 4 months out of the 12 months, which would be 1/3 or 0.33, and that'll get you to $10.47. And for the last one, number 24, you have $85 at 4.5%, which is 0.045 for 3 years. Then you multiply that out, you get 11.48. And there are all your answers.